네, 결승으로 가는 마지막
Welcome back everybody to the play at SKT Spring Split 2019 playoff round 2. We're going to be having a pre-show set joined by Mina Kim, Pittori, and Captain Jack. And this is season with today's preview and with that translation. This is the day. So let's check out the playoff series schedule.
자, 킹존이 담원을 잡고 오늘 SKT를
took down
만납니다.
DAMWON Gaming and they're now facing up against SK telecom. It was a very clean game and they also used 15 different champions, so we can indeed say they are the most sexy team in LCK. Today we are really looking forward to this series, SKT versus Kingzone.
오늘 뭐 선수들 간의 이런 라이벌 구도 다
There are a lot of rivalry going on, so I just can't wait to see.
않을까 생각을 하는데요. 양팀 전력
Today's winner will go to the finals up against Griffin. So these are the team stats.
네, 전반적으로 놓고 봤을 때
Overall,
확실히 초반에 SKT라는
SK Telecom is indeed strong in the early games. They are picking up a lot of dragons and they have the most Rift Arrows taken. And also their KDA looks really clean and nice. However, Kingzone, their stats differs from round 1, round 2, and also playoffs. So they are keep rising and rising. So we cannot just decide who's gonna win watching to the team stats.
같은 경우에는 이제 자신들이
And Captain Jack saying that SK Telecom actually stays in the cards that they are feeling comfortable with, which is kind of proven on stage. But Kingzone, they keep trying different team compositions, such as Morgana Pike duo. So we'll have to wait to see what kind of cards they're about to bring today. So put it short, SK Telecom shows a lot of experience with the champions they're comfortable and confident with, and Kingzone, they're always trying some new cards and new champions and show some unexpected plays to the team. So we can say it's going to be a really close match, and let's take a look at the match record. Well, recently SK Telecom is in a lead, but taking a look at some historical results, actually Kingzone is definitely in a lead. So, however, speaking of this spring split, SKT was always taking down Kingzone, so they are ahead in a match record for this year. And, well, actually there was a law that whenever SKT goes to the finals, they always won, but Kingzone was the one to stop that rule, and they were the first one to win SK Telecom in the LCK finals. Interestingly, Khan was in both Kingzone DragonX and moved to SK Telecom, so that's going to be an interesting top lane matchup as well. And let's take a look at the highlights of round 1 and 2 between SK Telecom and Kingzone DragonX. This is the first match in the first round robin. This is the highlight of FLICKR with his Lissandra, his engagement. It was very dominating in this team fight. And they actually tried very interesting crypto crossmancy strategy, but SK Telecom was able to kind of counterplay against it in game 2 and 3. And this was unstoppable Con Fiora over here. He was playing 1v9 and taking down Nexus on his own.
그때 당시에는 이제 사일러스를 탑에서 많이 썼었는데
And that was the meta when Silas was a very mainstream champion in top lane.
이 경기도 뭐 킹존이 약간 불리한 템포도 있긴 있었지만 이 자야가 워낙 성장을 잘했었기 때문에 한 판을
the FLICKR LeBlanc super play, he was able to survive taking so much aggro and taking down so many damage dealers, and then he just survived going back and forth. Got it, nice from Mara.
진짜 페이커 선수의 핑퐁에 마름은 깜짝 놀랄 수밖에 없었어요.
And this is Deft having his one of the hardest times
원딜 입장에선 정말
as an AD carry player.
덕분 선수가 좀 고생을 많이 했어요.
네. 사실 KD 면을 놓고 보면은 이번
Well, speaking of KDA, his KDA was really looking good, but this will be probably the worst game for him.
하지만 이걸 통해서 킹존도 분명히 배우고
But throughout this experience, I think Kingzone has learned a lot and improved a lot.
팀이기 때문에 SKT가 이번에도 좀 바텀을 노리지 않을까요?
Will SKT give another hard time to the bot laners in Kingzone?
경계를 올리는 한편
Well, they do have Kingzone does have this experience, so maybe they are now fully ready for it. And now Kingzone, the players in the top side has improved so much. So all the 5 players are the key players right now. So I don't really think that SK Telecom will just solely focus on the bot laners. This is the key players of each team.
요즘 뭐 클리드 선수
Clid versus Cuzz in jungle.
선수 상승세가 대단하기 때문에 기대가 됩니다.
특히 클리드 선수는 초반에
Well,
선취점을
Clid,
만들어내는 게 1위.
His participation in the first blood is number 1, so we'll be looking forward to him making some plays in the early stage. And also Cuzz, his performance has been keep rising, so we'll be looking forward to it. And the most interesting thing is that their champion pool is really different. The champions that Clid prefers is Lissandra and J4. However, Cuzz has been using a lot of different champions, and also he's really he really prefers a lot of Rek'Sais and Gragas, so there isn't much similarities in terms of their champion pool. And this is the historical rivalry over here, FLICKR versus Pawn. Their rivalry has been going on since 2013 and up until now.
페이커 옆에 놔도 상대 전장에서는 페이커가 앞설 수밖에 없어요. 그
Speaking of the
와중에
match
어쨌든
record, FLICKR
중요
is in
무대에서
the
폰
lead,
선수가
but
페이커
you know
선수의 상대로 좋은 경기를 보여줬던 게 있기 때문에
okay to
두
say
선수가
they
이렇게
are
나란히
rivals
많은
because they
팬분들의
have
지지를
been
각각 받으면서
facing up
이
against
중요한
each other in
일정에서
such a
키플레이어가
like big
내려가야
stages
됩니다.
in MSI and Worlds. So today's match is gonna be all about mid laner. There will be so many types.
정말 기세가 상당하기 때문에 이 대결도 아주
Especially
아주
Pawn,
기대를
his
해봐도 좋을 것
performance has been
같습니다.
rising
자,
throughout
이렇게
the
해서
split,
SKT와
so it's gonna be a
킹존
really
양팀
close
전력과
one
함께
today.
플레이어까지 살펴봤는데요. 이제 돌아왔습니다. 그 시간 네 승부 예측해봐야겠죠?
What's your guess, Captain Jack and Victory?
저는 이번 승부 예측 SKT가 3대1로 이기지
It's gonna be
않을까
3-0 victory over SK Telecom.
우선 제일 큰 이유는
First of all, the biggest
킹존은
reason
지금
is that
아래쪽에서
Kingzone,
올라가고 있는
they
입장이다.
are
자신들의 카드를 좀
on their
보여주고
journey
있어요.
and they have
뭐
exposed some of their
모르가나
cards.
뭐
So
이런 것들을
SKT
다
is in a lead in terms of
SKT 는
information.
준비를 했단 말이죠.
네.
They have been watching this and they had a lot of time to prepare.
싸움에서는 어쨌든 뱀픽에서
So
SKT가
in
유리할
terms of
수밖에
draft, I
없다라고
think
생각이 듭니다.
킹존이
SKT
하루 만에 뭔가
has
아주
to be in
새로운
the
걸
lead,
들고
so
나오기는
his
어렵다는 거죠.
expectation goes to SK Telecom.
네, 알겠습니다. 자, 빗돌림은요?
What about you,
네,
Victory?
저도 비슷한 의견이긴 게
I have a
우선
very similar
저는
opinion.
박빙의
First of all, it's gonna be a very close
3대2
game.
정도로 승리를
So
거둘
3-2 victory to SK Telecom.
킹존이 기존에 보여줬던 경기가
Kingzone,
섹시하다는 느낌이 들
You
정도로
know, they did
완벽한
show us some
개인적인
sexy
뱀픽과
performances
인게임 플레이가
and
같이
they have very
이어졌었는데
coming up with
거기서
unique
느껴지는 건
draft.
상대 팀에 대한 철저한 분석을 바탕으로 본인들이 과감하게 새로운
And
판을
I
잘
feel
짜는
like
느낌이었거든요.
they have
하지만
analyzed
SKT 가
a lot of their opponents, but today it's versus SK Telecom and they have been exposing a lot of their new strategies and cards. So it will be hard for Kingzone to kind of analyze them and prepare.
분위기가 좋은 걸 가지고
However,
상대를
Kingzone is in a very good momentum.
SKT가 조금은 그 2위의 어떤
However, SK Telecom
유리함을
will
살리지
be
않을까
showing
그런 생각이
their
드네요.
네, 저희가 이렇게 해서
some
계속
force
승부 예측을
as
하고
a
있는데
stronger
사실
team in the
세트
best
스코어까지
of
맞춘
5
적은
series.
없어요.
네.
네, 그만큼 지금 플레이오프가 아주 치열하게 흘러가고
So
있다고.
we're gonna find out who's
네,
gonna
맞습니다.
get the
어제
answer
약한 모습
today.
보이시는 건가요? 알겠습니다. 자, 오늘은
This will
어떨지
be the
기대해
end of
보도록
the
하겠습니다.
pre-show
자, 이제
analysis with
결승
Mina
진출이
Kim,
정말
Victoria, Captain Jack,
코앞입니다.
and
SKT와
I'm
킹존
gonna pass it back
팀
to our
모두
caster.
힘내시길
Thank you.
바랍니다. 자, 경기 시작할게요.
아무래도 FA 시장을 가장 뜨겁게 달궜던 팀이라고 볼 수 있는 게 SKT인데
드림
그렇죠.
네, 그렇죠. 검증의 선수들이 다 모였습니다. 이런 건 클리드만칸
SKT 진짜 멋져요.
네.
그리핀을 잡아낸다면 SKT 쭉쭉 더 올라갈 수 있는 겁니다.
그렇습니다. 9구로 넘어갔어요. 네. 9구로 넘어갔어요. 아직은 어나더 레벨 유효하다. 억울하면 강해져라. 네. 그런 것 눈에 보이는
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SKT versus Kingzone. We're here for the semifinals. It's me, Valdez, with Lissandra LS, as always. We're going to be bringing you one hell of a best of 5. Should be incredibly entertaining. As you guys did just see, though, Kingzone did lose to only one team in round 2, and that was SKT, so they're looking for their revenge tonight.
Yeah, and Kingzone and SK Telecom, this is a pretty premier matchup in that both of these teams have been looking so strong in the second round of the spring split, and they've been ramping up so much to the point where a lot of people would probably say that either one of these teams could even be considered the favorite, potentially, against Griffin in the finals next week.
Yeah.
And Kingzone, it used to just be sort of Deft and friends, but in recent weeks, a lot of the other team members have really stepped up, and they're proving to be a force to be reckoned with. And Pawn, he's someone that I had criticized a lot throughout the split as well as in the past, but he's really turned on a new leaf, basically, and become a different kind of mid laner here. And so we're going to have to see what Kingzone are going to bring to the table here against SK Telecom, as I do think that they will have their work cut out for them. SK Telecom is definitely not going to be a pushover by any means.
Yeah.
And what is the meta going to have in store for us?
You saw it there. It's best of 5, so SKT, but they're good, is the weighted one there for Kingzone. The king of round 2 was Kingzone, and only their scratch.
I like that.
Okay.
That is...
that's something we put up there. And Kingzone and their one loss was up against SKT. So that to me is definitely a big story. Also, Kingzone up against DAMWON, they destroyed them. I mean, that was probably one of the most one-sided best of 5s we've had in a long time. They made them look like they weren't even in the same tournament. It was insane how well Kingzone did in their matchup against DAMWON, but certainly a stronger opponent will be waiting for them here in the semifinals.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And is Pawn going to finally get a death tonight? That's one of the big questions here in the playoffs. And like what you were mentioning, they had extremely quick games against DAMWON. And SK Telecom, they like to get aggressive and fight as well, so perhaps we'll just have very explosive early and mid games without really getting to the late stages. And even though Kingzone struggled against SK Telecom last time, if you watch the games, there were definitely points where it could have gone either way. I feel like in this series tonight, though, Deft versus Teddy will still be one of the main focal points. I'm not as convinced by FLICKR versus Pawn, because I do think that Kingzone does look very different when Deft comes out of laning phase, ahead. If he does end up getting put behind, I think it dramatically changes the entire face of the Kingzone game.
Absolutely. I mean, we were even talking about it before. Well, actually, I'm going to hold that thought. Let's jump into the interviews.
So I've been watching since Wildcard, and we analyzed who's coming up, what kind of plays they make, what are lack of, so we did prepare a lot. Well, speaking of Kingzone rising performance, we are also rising as well, so we're not really too concerned about that. I just hope that our players don't get too nervous. Kingzone showing so many different champions previously. Well, our coaching staff, Zepha, Fly, they are also amazing coaches, and our players also have huge champion pools, so I don't feel too much pressure about that. Well, we weren't able to reach the finals for a long time, so I really want to pick up a victory today and see SKT at the finals. And I've been through all the different hardships, and it's really important to win this and go to the finals, so I just want to show great performance. And I heard that Kingzone is doing really well, but well, I think as long as we perform good, it won't be a hard game for us. So we just want to show how hard we prepared. And I also heard that Pawn is on his best form, but I'm also super confident, so I'm not paying too much attention to our mid-lane competition. I'm actually instead I'm paying attention to competition as a whole team versus Kingzone. And the newly joined teammates are doing so well up until now, so I have a good feeling that we're going to do well in this playoffs. And my goal is to win the spring split, so I want to make sure to win and show great performance to the fans. Let's go SKT. Well, the score, the game process, the results are looking good, and we are accomplishing some goals that we have set, and we are keeping evolving, so it's really encouraging. Well, speaking of 5 different champions in the previous game, I think we need a certain situations to bring some of the cards. So if SKT shows some of the patterns that we expect, we'll be able to show more of our pocket picks. Well, it might not be perfect, but I think we will give it a try. And we did always lose up against SK Telecom, but we also learned a lot at the same time. So we were able to always improve and step up. So I hope it's gonna be an exciting game. I hope that our players can learn a lot. Well, our performance at the DAMWON series was really good, but our game score was also really clean, so I think we still have a lot of cards in our hands to show up against SK Telecom. But so it's really important to take them down in terms of spring split, but speaking of summer split, you really need the experience of defeating SK Telecom. And since Mara joined SKT, I actually haven't seen him performing aggressively in the laning phase, so well, I think we might win the laning phase, and also our players on the top side, our jungle proximity is looking good, so I believe today is very winnable. And all the teammates and all the coaching staff were working so hard to reach up here, but I just don't want to settle for now. I really want to perform as hard as I can and reach the finals. Let's go Kingzone.
Thank you, TusiN, the based rap god, for that translation. Fantastic stuff to hear from all of those guys. Very important players, key players, and the coaches from the both sides here on the Rift. So let's go ahead and introduce the teams as Khan and Rascal, they're walking down the aisle.
I think that they're about to get married in top lane. What we're seeing here is an agreement that no junglers will come top. They're just going to be left on an island.
1v1 only.
Yeah.
No cheating by getting help.
What if they sat down on the other team?
Yeah, why didn't he sit next to Khan? I think they were getting married.
Yeah, I thought they were. Well, it was very short.
Yeah, now we're going to introduce our junglers. As you guys may have heard of these, 2 Clid and Cuzz. Clid from SK Telecom, Cuzz from Kingzone. The both of them having a really nice spring 2019, in my opinion.
Definitely could be a focal point of the matchup, is what will happen between Clid and Cuzz, and what type of jungler picks are they going to be on. The meta's in an interesting spot right now, where champions like Sylas do have to be considered. Snail is also someone that we have to look out for. She can take a little while to get going, but we'll have to see if she ends up coming through.
Yeah.
FLICKR and Pawn look to take their seats.
The only 2 guys in the world that have won both MSI and Worlds, so kind of interesting that we did have that graphic go up here. The 2 champions themselves, both debuting in 2013 as well. It's going to be a big focal point of this game, but also we will have to mention this matchup, Teddy versus Deft. Our 2 big Ezreal players, 2 of them here in the LCK, and 2 of the best AD carries, if not the best, that we do have in LCK.
Yeah, this is, I mean, that's definitely the big question, is where do they stand worldwide as well? Deft and Teddy. I can't speak today. The allergies are just getting to me, Valdez. That's Teddy and Deft are 2 of the best ADCs in the world, and like you're mentioning, Ezreal is potentially a very high priority pick that we could end up seeing here in tonight's game, as they are both Ezreal enthusiasts.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the last time Teddy played Ezreal, he kind of just went 1v9, and it was really scary, incredibly scary what that guy can do on that pick. Of course, for the support matchup as well, TusiN versus Mata, going to be a big one. It's interesting to hear from Deft, as Jayce was translating, that he said it doesn't feel like Mata's playing very aggressive down in the bottom lane ever since joining SKT, so maybe they can get the advantage in that bottom lane.
Well, We'll have to see what kind of bottom lanes will be coming out here. SK Telecom, interestingly, starting on the blue side. And so, Kingzone, they will have their counter picks available if they choose to use them. For top and mid, traditionally, tend to be where the counter picks come in on this current meta. There's a lot of power picks available inside of those lanes. But will Sylas get through the ban phase? Or Lissandra, or any of those kind?
Yeah. And all these questions to be answered and more, as looks like we're almost ready to hop into pick and ban.
And Korea's been a little bit slower to adapt and change the meta as opposed to some of the other regions, especially in the mid lane, as well as the top lane. And so we'll see if that remains true here today for both of these teams, as we are about to jump right into the pick ban. But first, the flags are going to drop down.
Yep, got to get the flags just to, you know, reconfirm after seeing the players walk out one by one who exactly is going to be playing here. And we do have a bunch of subs, actually, on both teams, more on SKT. But these guys just, like, never play. So you can imagine that it is just going to be these 5 versus the other 5, and probably nobody else.
Yeah, I'm extremely doubtful that we'll see any of the subs come out tonight, especially in such a high-profile match that both of these teams obviously want to win so that they can go on to the finals to face Griffin next week. And we are jumping into the pick ban. We're going to have to see what is in the window. It's going to be Rek'Sai banned away. Kalista now following by Kingzone. This does mean that you don't have to try to ban away the Holy Trinity of supports. Galio, Alistar. SK Telecom now banning the Ryze. This could indicate a desire to get the Lissandra as a first pick. Kingzone responding with the Lee Sin against Clid.
Probably a good idea. Clid is one of our masters of Lee Sin. You don't necessarily want to let him have that, but that is a crucial ban on red side that they are going to spend to disallow him to go into that. Take a look at that. Orin being banned in the first 3.
And this was one of the things that some people had worried about with the 9.6 meta, is that through all the practicing and whatnot, it is gravitating more and more towards tanks in the top lane. And so that could prove to be a little bit problematic for Khan potentially, and it would also allow a little bit weaker of top laners to contend with him much easier. And so Orin being banned away. Jayce is on the table, but they didn't elect to take it right away, instead opting for the J4. And Galio's still available, but Kingzone picking the Tahm super early.
And they're thinking a lot about what they're going to follow that up with. They don't want to reveal AD carry just yet. They want to prioritize something else. And Akali comes out. You mentioned Jayce and other picks still left available, but high priority on the Akali pick.
They could just get Galio Lissandra right now, and they can have the Holy Trinity of engages right there.
Yeah.
Lissandra engage followed up by Jarvin with a Galio ultimate, and it's looking real good against Kingzone's current 2 picks. Especially even the ability to flex Lissandra top lane and maybe make FLICKR go on Galio mid is definitely not something out of the realm of possibilities, but there is the Lissandra. I think that the best choice right now is to accompany this with a Galio pick, unless you're going to try to abuse the Tahm Kench in bottom lane, but that's not something we've seen Korean teams tend to try to do. They normally just tend to shake hands on Tahm Kench versus Braum in the bottom lane. What is Braum?
Yeah, and you can see that they prioritize the Jayce pick that you were mentioning a lot more, and up against that Lissandra, we are going to see once again the Corki come out, a extremely popular pick into that lane, because you essentially just get to free farm and hit those items really quick, buy that cull on first back, and be a happy Corki.
So we are seeing the Corki. It has popped up as well in other regions. It is the answer to the Lissandra. He does scale quite well, makes it a little bit difficult for Lissandra to get onto him, and now as we're moving into the second ban phase, Vayne now being targeted. Tahm Kench is already selected, so it's definitely most likely going support, although I am a little bit skeptical as Rascal's summoner spells are Flash Ghost. And so I'm a little bit curious. There is a, this is a little bit out there, but there is a very high elo Tahm Kench top player that runs Flash Ghost as his rune choices.
Is that Rascal?
No. I actually blank on what his name is. I think that it's in Korean, but he runs Flash Ghost, Grasp of the Undying on Tahm Kench, and he plays it top at Challenger on the Korean server.
Must be your Smurf then.
No.
Well, it's not.
It's just making me think that maybe that we could be seeing something extremely unorthodox, such as that, but probably not. Ezreal banned away by SK Telecom. I guess they don't want to go up against the Corki Jayce, as Kingzone do have first dibs on what they want to pick. Galio banned away. I do think like that is the best choice.
See the Jax ban too. Most likely aimed at Cuzz in the jungle, you would have to imagine. Okay.
Oh, man. Vi.
Kingzone bringing out the stops for this best of 5, the first Vi of 2019 here in Korea.
So the Vi is interesting for me because the mid laner's going to have a lot of priority with the Corki, and that's going to be Akali in the top lane unless we see something wonky like Deft going on the Corki down in bottom lane. And so the Vi, though, is going to have an awfully hard time going into SK Telecom. They still didn't pick their support, and so now the Barum ends up coming in. There is massive amounts of CC and defensiveness on the side of SK Telecom that makes me ponder how exactly is Vi going to delete any of these champions or truly threaten them. As SK Telecom, they lock in the Varus Braum down there in bottom lane. So they will have poke available to them in the form of Jayce and Varus if they want it, but also massive amounts of engage and defensive ability. As Xayah now being hovered by Kingzone, instead they're going to move it over to Sivir right at the very end.
Very interesting to finish up that way. Does mean that they can get into that fight real quick, as well as escape from some of the engage that SKT does have. It allows Vi, a champion that can, you know, wants to get into that backline and engage, just a little bit more potential to close the gap.
Definitely very interesting team compositions here. I have to think, though, that moving out of the draft phase, that SK Telecom are just in such a better position here. And the reason that I say that is Corki, we can see Pawn opting for the cleanse there in mid lane. SK Telecom, they have such power in all of their lanes. Clid is just going to have so much more freedom than Cuzz in this early into mid-game transition. And then the late game that Kingzone have going for them isn't super powerful when you think about how their comp is going to come together against the SK Telecom team composition. As we look at the team comps one more time, Varus, Braum, Lissandra, Jarvin the 4th, and Jayce. They have a lot of gears available to them. They have massive mid-game wake-up. And the defensive tools that they have available is very good against the Vi and Akali on the side of Kingzone. But we can talk about what Kingzone's trying to do here as we take a look at their draft. Akali, Vi, Corki, Sivir, and Tahm Kench. They're looking to go late, which is a little bit interesting. They're looking to come online at 3-4 items. They're going to try to have priority in mid lane as bot is going to be an island. And Vi's going to have her work cut out for her.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. I'm really excited to see how that Vi is going to work here as we hop onto the Rift for game number 1 of SKT versus Kingzone to start off this best of 5. Off we go on a magical journey into this best of 5. We saw the analyst predictions from the analyst desk. It was 3-1 from Captain Jack, and I believe it was 3-0 from BitDory. But I was actually thinking 3-2 for SKT. It's hard not to favor SKT, especially the last time these two teams did face each other. It was a 2-0, and it was quite one-sided to the side of SKT. So even though Kingzone did demolish DAMWON, does feel like they have a new beast in front of them.
Well, I'm definitely not going to rule out the possibility of a 3-2 occurring, but I will say that I think that if SK Telecom go up 2-0, I think it's going to definitely be a 3-0, but I wouldn't say the same for Kingzone. I think if Kingzone got up 2-0, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for SK Telecom to come back. And that's just basically a read on how the team has conducted itself under pressure or when things aren't going their way sometimes inside of the games. So we'll have to see what is going to happen here. FLICKR actually has a relatively good first wave upon mismanaging it a little bit. And Cuzz has the Aftershock on Vi.
Yeah, I'm definitely a proponent of if your champion can use Aftershock, you should use it, as it's pretty strong. It's a good rune for sure. She is going to be the only one on their team that has it. Of course, Lissandra will also pick it up, as we do have the runes there at the bottom. Anything strike your eye? Anything interesting there, Alice? As early Flash actually does come out. As Deft was saying they should be winning in that bottom lane, but already he had to flash.
Yeah, already things are starting off on a little bit of a rough foot. And in mid lane, people are picking Corki against Lissandra, but the way that people are piloting him inside of the mid lane, as well as you can see here that Pawn has to take the cleanse, things just aren't looking that good for the Corki. And he's going to need to make me a believer here in this game, as already SK Telecom's lanes are doing exactly what they want to do without much pushback. And you can see from the HP and the mana bar in mid lane that FLICKR is very, very happy with this current lane state. He actually could have shoved out this wave a lot faster, used all of his mana and recalled, and found himself with a cheater recall as the cannon wave.
Oh boy.
It's gone, and bottom lane getting very frisky down there as Cuzz has elected for a full clear. And I like this. He recognizes he can't do anything in mid or top lane. There's no point in trying to gank. The only type of gank that he would be able to get away with would be a pressure gank. But there's a lot more that has to align for those type of things to work.
We did see the last time that Vi was played, it was by score in 2015. 1,318 days ago. And I did not expect today to be the day where it does come in, but Cuzz, once again, bringing out all those pocket picks and weird stuff here, is going to start us off with the treat.
Everything seems to be even in the mid lane right now, although Lissandra does have priority as Cuzz is continuing his route for a full clear, elected for the red smite very early on, as well as 2 control wards. So that tells me that he thinks that his laners are going to be able to get some priority in coming minutes so that those aren't entirely useless buys, as Clid is now pathing towards the left-hand side of the map.
What are your thoughts on this Varus pick? We haven't seen it all too much. I think it's seen about 12, 13 games so far in all of spring, which is actually not that much. There were a bunch of other picks on the table, but that Ezreal was banned alongside of the Callista and Vayne. So I suppose the choices were kind of taken down a notch.
Well, the Varus pick is something that used to be popular. It tends to dip in and out of popularity. And the reasonings as to why, I'm not entirely sure. He's an extremely powerful pick that is able to get lane priority on a whim if he really needs it. He has the flexibility, being able to go into the lethality Varus or the attack speed on hit one. And so I think against this team composition, this is still the patch where I believe Wit's End not changed yet. So we will have the magic resistance via the Wit's End and able to amplify not only his but Lissandra's damage as well later in the game. I do believe that he should just be going for the attack speed on hit Varus. Although he looks like he wants to go Blade of the Ruin King first item, which is a little bit surprising because there's no tanks on the side of Kingzone.
For both of them up in the top lane, but Khan is out of mana and he flashes to the left side. First blood goes over to Rascal in the solo kill in top lane.
Yeah, without even having to expend his flash either.
Yeah.
Khan is now really far behind in the top lane after having secured himself a beautiful lane state with Cuzz in such close proximity. This is going to be teleport for teleport, and Khan's going to have to fade a gank now. This is an absolutely terrible spot for the SKT top laner.
You can see he gets hit by the mini stun, and after that just didn't have the mana. Walks down into the river, and then can't flash to safety to even get a flash either out of Rascal. So just felt like a little bit of a misread and a misplay, and Rascal just jumped right on him. Said, okay. And something about a tri-brush, but seems like the team is in high spirits, and they should be after taking on DAMWON and now getting first blood against SKT.
And so Cuzz didn't actually elect to gank top lane right away, and so Rascal coming off the teleport, he has the Seeker's Arm Guard and Amp Tome as well. Clid gonna go for a lane gank here against this Akali, as it looks like they want to guarantee that Khan is gonna be able to get plates on this Jayce. No one else really able to secure themselves any plates across the map, and so this plate is going to offset some of the disadvantage that was incurred by giving up that first blood here in top lane.
We also did have Rascal starting Cloth 5. He had used all of his potions by the time he hit level 6. And I suppose that is one way to get through that Jayce lane and hit level 6 and open up a chance really to get on top of him, as now Cuzz is hiding in the pit here. He is level 6 and waiting for that scuttle, but
oh man.
Oh boy.
Oh, he's gonna.
Oh, he misses him, and
yeah.
Now it's gonna be 1v2 as he's in a bunch of trouble. Gonna get knocked straight into the Jarvin. Nice knock up there by Cuzz. Is gonna flash, but the red buff is gonna take him down. See you later. As it looks like it wasn't actually the red buff, maybe the smite comes in, but either way, down in the bottom lane, more aggression coming out of Teddy and Mata, nearly able to take TusiN out.
Yeah, and the thing about this aggression is it comes at such a good time, as 5 spellcasters now will be on the side of SKT. And so they have the option to permanently freeze it, but they don't seem like they want to take that. Looks like they just want to crash it. And so now, because Deft is sticking around, he should be able to get the wave. FLICKR alone is not going to be able to threaten a dive, and so feels like a little bit of a blunder by SK Telecom. Deft didn't have teleport available. He was completely out of mana, and you could have just froze on him because you had more spellcaster minions on a cannon wave, and they elected to push thinking that FLICKR alone would maybe be able to threaten a dive, but he couldn't, as Pawn was trailing him in very close proximity. And so even though they found themselves with a fantastic trade, the rewards just aren't as high as it could have been.
Absolutely, as Cuzz, thinking about helping up on the top side, doesn't have his flash or his ult yet, though, so would have been hard to make it stick, even with Khan and no TP. As FLICKR going in for this one, the cleanse is going to be burned immediately by Pawn, so he's going to be totally fine.
And so for some people looking at this right now, they might think, well, why would FLICKR do that if Pawn just has cleanse? They're obviously not going to be able to kill him. This is to set up for the future, as FLICKR's ultimate is going to come online faster than Pawn's cleanse will. And so in a moment's time, eventually FLICKR's going to have that ultimate again, and Pawn is going to have to play very differently inside of the laning phase. So that ult was not intended to kill him, but it was intended to set up the kill a few moments from now.
Yeah. Also had Jarvin nearby in case Pawn wanted to get really frisky and gone in there, as once again Clid is heading up towards the top side. He's level 6 now, level 7 in total, so does have the ability to throw that ult down, but it is an Akali with flash, so could be hard to lock her down.
I think Rascal should be good enough to read that Clid's in close proximity off that. That hammer form play by Khan just now really doesn't make any sense for the lane manipulation. And you can see that Rascal didn't take the bait, so excellent by him. Had he started and initiated a trade right there, things could have gone a little bit ugly. But I think that it was read as Khan definitely being out of character. Story was not congruent with how he had been playing the lane up until this point. And you can see, yeah, he senses something is amiss in top lane with the way that Khan is choosing to play these minion waves now.
This is a second control ward that got deep into the blue side jungle, and the second one that is going to be cleared out. So Cuzz doing a good job of making sure that he is not seen. We do have this first Drake that is a mountain, which could be really nice, actually, for both of these teams. See who jumps on that first.
I think if Kingzone end up getting it, it's not as impactful as if SK Telecom get it early, and the reason that I say that is because Kingzone's team comp doesn't come online until way later, so they're not in the market for turrets or trying to burst down a Baron at 20 minutes, especially not when they're already behind at this stage of the game. Whereas SK Telecom, they really need that mountain to threaten those very things and make sure that they can continue to accelerate against this Kingzone team comp.
Yeah, you can see they're for free. Yeah, doing exactly that. You talked about the cleanse down, allows FLICKR to have more priority in mid, and also bottom lane is going heavily in SKT's favor. So they just walk into the river, clear out a couple of wards, and take it for free, essentially, as Kingzone are not going to bite the bait on taking any fights just yet. That's coming on in here as Rascal, always threatening now any kind of play. Was able to get the solo kill before Gunblade, obviously, but did have to delay it to pick up that arm guard just to survive a little bit better against all the Jayce damage.
Now here in mid lane, Pawn has to be a lot more respectful of any claws that end up coming out, but he will have the cleanse available now, as FLICKR is looking to recall. Call was completed, though, by Pawn, so that's going to offset some of the CS gap currently present inside of the mid lane. And aside from that, Kingzone are only down 700 gold. They are down a mountain with a second one spawning. That is really unfortunate, to be completely honest. Double Mountain Drake that early on into the game, it enables macro rotations that you aren't normally supposed to be able to get away with. And it can be very frightening for the enemy team to dance around certain objectives because it really just completely twists the way that the map can really be played. So SK Telecom, they're rolling like gods right now.
They really are. One of the only RNG aspects of the game, but it does go in their favor this time around, as now Cuzz going on this one. The package was picked up, and already the damage is really big. Onto Clid, who is quite low, and now down on the bottom side. Cleanse comes in, but TusiN might have to flash this. Is going to get stunned up, and they're just going to kill him before he can even get out of there or use the Grey Hell, as just the straight-up 2v2 kill on the bottom side, but the Rift Herald does go the way of Cuzz and Kingzone.
Yeah, and it was a straight-up 2v2. Kingzone, they end up getting the Rift Herald, but one of the sad things about it is that the turret plates have already gone down. So Shelly, unfortunately, is just going to be able to get some dents onto one of the turrets. The unfortunate thing as well for Kingzone is that all of the turrets are extremely healthy because Kingzone has never been able to push them. Oh, this is going to be potentially a play, but TusiN able to use the Abyssal Voyage to get back in close proximity to the lane, ends up dissuading FLICKR and friends.
No wards were there, actually, from what you could see in the Tribrush, so they could have considered it. Now everything's going to be cleared out down in that bottom side. Wards put down, so it might be harder to make that happen. But just take a look at the poke damage that is just getting done essentially for free down in that bottom lane. The Varus pick really doing work for SKT in Game 1.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy, DCS is okay. 175 here at 15 minutes. I mean, it's all right.
It's okay. It's not as good as FLICKR's.
Yeah, I'm not as impressed because we can see there that FLICKR, a little bit of a lead.
Yeah.
Well, that got taken away.
As
yeah, more pressure being put onto this bottom lane, and this is not what you want to have happening for your Sivir and Tahm Kench, as it looks like first turret is going to go the way of SK Telecom.
Quite easily as well. They just bring the jungler down. It looks like Cuzz now trying to make a play up here on the top side as Rascal's going in. He lands that shuriken.
Yeah, just
and all that
press
Cuzz
R.
has to do is wait for it. You also got a Corki. There's the R. He's got a stopwatch, but not sure if that was really worth it, as he's going to die anyway. Down he does go, and another turret goes the way of King's Zone. So with that, they are able to close a little bit of the gap. Now only 1,000 gold behind.
Oh, they're only down 1,000 gold. They ended up getting that top turret. And Khan definitely having a little bit of an off game one here on the Jayce. Jayce, not the best feeling in the world when you are behind on him. Take a look at how this all ends up happening. Goes for a shock blast recklessly. And the thing that's so surprising about this is that your jungler was just in the blue side jungle of the enemy team. Sivir and Tahm had no help coming. Gee, I wonder where Vi is. That's the question I'm asking. He ends up using a stopwatch for no reason, as it all it does is it delays his inevitable death.
Yeah. Doesn't actually gain them anything. The turret goes down for free.
It's a complete waste of the rune.
Yeah. Just sells it immediately. It's like he never even took the rune in the first place. So, and now we're having some trouble down here on the bottom side as Gunblade is completed, and he's down 3 levels on Rascal, who's the, well, not the highest level in the game, actually. That goes to FLICKR, who's level 13. So, catching up, and it looks like King's Zone now, they're not going to let the second mountain go astray.
Zone are showing that they want to fight over this, but all of SK Telecom are here. FLICKR has TP.
Look at Khan, they're just ganging up on him now as they're all running after him. Not quite able to kill him just yet. Finally they get him. SKT say, we'll just try to take him out. They do not take it as Vi gonna come in for the steal and the engage. Aftershock gonna keep her alive, and now the flash is on in as Pawn is looking for more. He's able to pick up 1 kill on the end.
And meanwhile, FLICKR, he's going to pick himself up the top tier 1 turret, but you have to really question what are the priorities for SK Telecom. Giving up that second Mountain Drake, you have to think to yourself, is definitely quite a blunder, but huge credit to King's Zone for capitalizing on the opportunity presented to them. They bully Khan once more. They're even forcing him to get a Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
This early on. And you have to just wonder, yet again, what is he doing so far out of position? As just another easy pickup for King's Zone, and then they're trying to burst down the dragon, but Cuzz ends up telling Clid that he's going to need to check his smite key one more time. And then what a beautiful cancel right there.
Yeah.
Of Jarvin's EQ. Fawn ends up picking up a kill.
Got him, no flash. And everybody's favorite, nicer, comes through as you guys will remember that Pawn was given the kill on the Jayce up in the top lane. Picks up a second one now on top of that call. So this guy is actually stacking the cash right now. And that's exactly what King's Zone want for this Corki to get online.
Well, Corki 2-0-1, 200 CS, also has a cull completed inside of him, even though he has sold the item. And so now King's Zone, they find themselves 1.4k behind, but honestly the edge is going to them, at least in the current game state. The damage threat on the 2 carries in mid and top is just not quite there yet, I feel, to nullify the Vi and Akali. And it looks like Khan's about to potentially get bullied again.
Yeah, here we go again. Not even bothered to land the shuriken on him, just going on in. Is going to win the trade in the end, but it's not going to push under turret just yet. Doesn't bother using his ultimate either. Probably because Khan has flash. If Khan doesn't have flash there, he probably full on goes for it and may even be able to pick up that kill. But also with the Hex Drinker, a little bit too much survivability right now for Khan.
And SK Telecom posturing around in mid lane. They're not really going to have too many options available. With only 1 Mountain Drake, they don't have the ability to just go and try to threaten the Baron and demand that King's Zone come to them. So King's Zone, they're going to be content playing ping pong in all of the lanes, letting their champions continue to scale up right now. As SKT, they're going to look to clear out vision on the left-hand side of the map. Another mountain coming up in a minute and a half. Extremely important for both of these teams now, as we are approaching the threshold where Kingzone's champions do get to punch back. And so double mountain becomes a real thing for them as well. It opens up the possibility to two-man Baron with any of the carries, and that goes for both of the teams.
It really does. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that because Varus has 2 items, Spike and T's pretty damn strong. That seems to be the carry here for the side of SKT. Should be Teddy on that Varus. Most CS in the game. Only 264 at 21.5 minutes. Not so bad.
It's all right.
Down there.
It's really, it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know where he found the extra minions, but he's got away. X-Drinker for him now as well. So he's definitely taking the Akali very seriously if he does get dove in that back line.
Ada teleports into the mid lane and ends up placing down one warp. We're getting the ping pong. This is the lull state I like to talk about.
Both these teams just lulling around, as really the onus is on SKT to get something done. Now they will have another very big Drake coming through that mountain. Is going to be the next one as Teddy just casually 1v2ing, had Mata nearby.
I think, yeah, Pawn and Cuzz are definitely out of position right now. Doesn't matter if you have home guard, you're way too late to this mountain. SK Telecom, they should just burst it down as soon as it spawns. Deft has teleport. Oh, actually,
Dance on Corki.
He has package. But SKT don't look like they want to just burst it down. So I made a little bit of an error, didn't realize Corki had package available. He will be here. In presence. Yep.
It's waiting nearby. You can see that King Zone now trying to set it up as Rascal comes over the wall, avoids that shock blast.
SKT look like they just want to bring him right down.
Yeah, as Clid and them are just going to go down on the right side. The package gets him out, and the Dragon goes the way of King Zone as now they've got double mountain. As playing on mountainous rocky terrain right now are both of these teams.
Really bizarre movement there from SKT. Rascal is just getting so much aggro from SK Telecom. He's pulling it so well. And so SK Telecom continue to falter as the game draws on. Ocean Drake gonna be the next one coming up. Or as I like to say, Open Drake. No one is gonna consider that a high priority. So it's going to be open for anyone to take here at 28 minutes.
They were rolling so well, and then all of a sudden, Open Drake shows his face. What are your thoughts on the Death's Dance here for Corki? Definitely not an item you see very often. Generally, it's the rapid fire cannon into an infinity edge. So mixing it up here is Pawn, and again, it is Pawn. So, you know, we've come to expect that out of this player, but what do you think?
Well, I'm thinking the Death's Dance, well, it was changed many patches ago, so it's all damage now heals you, even though Corki does majority magic. And so it's not just about the physical damage he can do. So he's able to heal up. I suppose that there's some poke on the side of SKT that he can try to heal.
Trying to ultimate now on top of FLICKR. He's got 4 people. Wait, he does have the stopwatch available. Now TP's coming in. FLICKR trying to lock him down, but take a look at Cuzz in the back line. Nice knockup, though, onto that Akali. Now we're turning it around onto Cuzz. He's going to have his own stopwatch, and in goes Pawn onto Khan. Meanwhile, up in the top side, another fight going on here, but nobody is going to die.
And even though there's no casualties inside of this fight, though, the one thing that you have to remember is that Kingzone's members are all really healthy.
Oh boy.
This is a pretty free Baron.
Looks like it as SKT, they're going to cancel some recalls. TP now coming in.
Cuzz is getting very low.
Oh boy. Just a couple of spells will do it. FLICKR's going in.
FLICKR got caught.
He's going to assassinate him, and the smite goes the way of Tahm Kench as Kingzone take out the Baron. But can any of them live on the backside? Pawn is a god. He's able to take a kill. But just go down. Jarvin.
Kingzone turned it around.
Red buff helping
SK Telecom.
out.
Turn it around on Kingzone. And so now SKT, without Baron on the map, it's no longer going to be an objective for Kingzone. All their members are down. SK Telecom is going to get a massive amount of gold off of this as well as XP. And we'll see how this is all going. Cuzz is taking way too much damage. And so the tanking on the side of Kingzone, not quite the best. FLICKR comes in, has the aftershock, and comes down to a smite bite. TusiN end up being able to get it right at the very end. Deft goes down with his flash still up. It looked like Pawn was going to get out, but SK Telecom red buff.
His E accurate it. Look at SKT coaches. They're like, wait, what?
오케이 나이스 비슷합니다.
I got it. It's
Yeah.
worth it. I got it.
It's worth Killed it. Nice. And huge turnaround there for SKT. SKT red buff coming on in big towards the end to get rid of the last guy with Baron. Actually will be pretty big.
You know, it makes me really happy to see that the buffs are finally beginning to get picked up by teams. We have Cloud9's blue buff, and then we have SK Telecom now recruiting red buff here.
Oh boy, here we go, locking down the Corki now. Can they get into that back line? Clid is gonna dunk him! And there it is, as TusiN not able to get the Devour down. In time to save his life, ends up devouring Devi, and now they're desperately just trying to stop the push.
So they end up getting Pawn right there. That's his second death of the game. And it's important to note that he didn't die at all in the previous series.
Yeah.
And off of that, though, they just continue to get a little bit of gold. They're going to back up and reset. And you can see Pawn just stepping a little bit too far forward. Beautiful by Mata to get the passive onto Pawn. Good ultimate to prevent Thomas from being able to eat him. Cataclysm came in, and TusiN going to have to settle for consuming Cuzz. Open Drake coming up in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Veldas.
We got it coming in here.
This is the priority
As,
target.
I guess you just wait, right?
Well,
Make that Elder spawn?
Yeah, I think that if you're thinking about a pretty good play, you do wait until 30 and just allow the Elder to spawn.
Yeah.
But I think if you're Kingzone, you want to try to take that as fast as possible.
Oh, it's FLICKR in the back line. He has to, oh, just in desperation, as Cuzz is going to go down. It looked like Clid and the boys wanted more, but FLICKR with a nice play gets over the wall and gets the pick.
SKT, they are going to take it down. We'll see what is going to be the next dragon. Another Ocean Drake. All right. Well, not the most exciting dragons.
And now that Elder is going to spawn much later.
Yeah, the Elder's going to spawn much later, which is going to actually be bad, I would say, for SKT, more so than Kingzone. And so I mentioned how Kingzone would probably want to take down the Ocean Drake, and that's because SK Telecom have a little bit more of usage for it at the current game state than Kingzone, and so Baron is going to be the next major neutral. Feels like the game is really going to come down to that, but at the current game state, I feel like we're beginning to see one of the problems for the Vi and the Akali in that there's so much defensive utility on the side of SK Telecom that it becomes really difficult for these champions to really provide a lot of value, and so a lot of pressure onto the Corki and the Sivir to get up close and personal, but you don't necessarily want to be up close and personal against some of these SK Telecom champions.
Yeah. I mean, imagine you're a Vi, and I suppose the best target is a Varus. You know, it's going to be pretty hard, but especially hard for the Akali, as Maw of Malmortius and A Wit's End are going to be completed here up against this Akali, so Varus is half tank. In the meanwhile, if she can even get on top of the Varus, which is a difficult feat alone.
Sivir is almost at 4 items. Corki looking like he wants to go for the Infinity Edge next, but I'm assuming that he's ways away from that. 4,000, almost 5,000 is the gold lead here for SK Telecom. 45 seconds until the Baron ends up spawning.
You can see that's what SKT are setting up for, as FLICKR threatening it up in the top side, but not gonna go for it as Clid. Uh-oh, he's gonna be locked down for so long. Down goes the GA. As TP's now going to be channeled, Shock Blast comes in. It looks like Kingzone just gonna be happy to pick up the GA alone.
Yeah, it's a fantastic trade though for Kingzone. They get the Guardian Angel. Clid now very low on HP. He does have that Ocean Drake, though. Look at how effective it really is. Just look at it.
Can't tell
Hold
it's
on,
sarcastic.
He's almost gotten 100 HP in the last 10 seconds. All right. It's chugging along.
He's getting there.
It's like
and,
molasses uphill in January.
Oh, they're going, actually, right on top of Rascal. The flash in from FLICKR, and Rascal just lulls in his face and shurikens away. Well, I guess he did have to use his ultimate as well to get out of that one, so. But still a good trade for Rascal.
Red buff, though, being taken on.
Look at Pawn just running at them.
Pawn's playing dodgeball right now.
I actually love this, what you can do. He's going to dodge the ultimate from Varus as well, and now FLICKR not in the best position here. Doesn't have his ultimate, just has the Zhonya's, and he's going to pay for it as he goes down in the mid lane.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, Valdez. That was...
No analysis on that one?
I got nothing to say on that one.
Okay.
I don't think FLICKR knows what that was.
I think he's regretting that one a little bit, as the ITZY pings are going down onto the Baron, but Kingzone, even after taking out the SKT mid lane, are deciding against.
Let's take a look at Pawn's movement here. He ends up dodging so much of SK Telecom's skill shots, and then Kingzone making the decision to raise the mid-tier 1 turret. Watch FLICKR take this, and you have to wonder, what was going through his head?
Maybe he thought that Tahm Kench was on their team, but that's not the case. As double mountain Barons, they're pretty fast, but they're looking for the turn, trying to get into that backline on top of Teddy, but look at the return from SKT! All the knockups come in, and Vi can't do anything! As Khan is going to be in here, but take a look at Corki. It's actually the Pawn show at the end of this fight. He's going to crit for the last kill. Not going to be able to get the last one, though, as the ace goes down as Death Dance takes him out at the end.
Oh, man. Khan is going to be the last man remaining in the Death Dance. Ends up killing Pawn at the end. That's going to be another turret. Let's take a look at this. Kingzone. This looks like a pretty free Baron. They elect not to 50-50 it, instead try to turn on, and here is what we're sort of seeing. Akali and Vi can't actually engage onto the SK Telecom team composition despite Lissandra not being present. And this was just a slugfest, as Pawn probably wanted to do a barrel roll right about now.
Yeah. He tried. Right there towards the end, as Death Dance, I mean, it kept him alive against a lot of that engaged, but at the end, does mean that he is eventually going to meet his fate, which was the death. But you can really tell now with Infinity Edge that Corki is doing some ridiculous damage, and Teddy, even though everybody jumps on top of him, still gets a triple kill.
Yeah.
It's an 80 carry show tonight.
And right now, FLICKR, one of the interesting things for me is that despite that whole fight, he still doesn't have his death cap. He might have it right now, though. I'll have to see. That's a very big item completion. And so now if you're Kingzone, you're probably saying to yourself, let's just fight before Lissandra gets death cap.
Ooh, looking at Khan here. Looks like he's got Edge of Night. He's going to be jumping on top of Vi. Devour does have to come in as okay. Rascal in the back line, in the shroud, trying to ultimate away. Is going to have the Zhonya's here towards the end, because going in the back line, trying to do that damage.
What is this fight?
Oh boy, Teddy going to get the first kill as Rascal not going to go down. FLICKR flashes in, but look at the damage that they're turning back on top of them. Look at Pawn. He's still alive in the fight, going to take out one more as the double kill also goes to Rascal.
We're watching Street Fighter tonight, Brendan.
Absolute chaos in this game.
What a slugfest it's been the last couple of minutes. both of these team comps are really going head to head. Just take a look at how this all ends up unfolding. Cuzz whiffs on his ability to try to engage onto Khan. FLICKR came over the walls, couldn't decide what he wanted to do. TusiN ends up getting Cuzz to safety. Rascal using that Shroud to great effectiveness, goes into the Zhonya's Hourglass, has another one to boot. Cuzz trying to get onto Deddy, dies.
Oh boy. Okay, here we go again. The fighting never ends. In this game, it's only game one, but it's gonna go the way of Varus! What in the world as Teddy, with the arrow, steals it from downtown?
Teddy might have just saved the entire game for SKT because a poke comp doesn't have much leg to stand on against Baron sieges. But had Kingzone had the Baron, they should have just been able to run over SK Telecom with it. And so now you have to feel so bad if you're a Kingzone fan. These are the worst ways to potentially lose the game.
Imagine getting this close against SKT. The game isn't over, but we'll have to wait and see how it goes as the replay comes in. You see, there are no junglers here.
You can see the exact moment the Kingzone team's heart breaks. Right there, 646.
There is a jungler there at the end, actually, but can't get the smite down. A little bit too slow. Still looking for that smite button as Cuzz.
Deft's gum chewing intensifies. And the player
oh my god. He really has that alpaca vibe going for him. As he's trying hard to do that late game carrying as well. You talked about that ticking time bomb on the side of Kingzone. It's 38 minutes into the game now, so really have to pay attention.
That's a deep teleport.
Okay, ult's coming on in here from Cuzz, trying to make it happen, but the Devour does come in as Pawn. They're trying to get him, but the damage is huge from him. Can FLICKR take him on? No! He's not able to, but the Death Dance will. In the end, as Pawn, actually Rascal, is going to get a kill on the left side here. Take a look at Teddy. He's going in, and now he's got a front line. Two of them are going to go down as SKT are pushing in the base.
And the package is available for Pawn once he respawns, but that turret was not long for this world. It's going to be Deft and Cuzz trying to hold this off, but I just don't think you can do it. The Baron minions are going to be too much.
It's 30 seconds until Pawn is going to respawn alongside TusiN. But they're going to have to do it. They have to engage. Clid goes in alone. He's going to try to flash away, but he's not going to be able to go down. Clid actually lives barely on the last one, but the Nexus is now open. They're just going to engage straight on top of Deft here. Who's not going to be able to stop it? This is going to be the game, and what a game it was. GG as SKT take the first one.
I like the fist bump there by the end of Teddy and Mata. Teddy single-handedly saved this game for SK Telecom. It's so many points. He put everyone on his back. It was looking like Jin Air Teddy reconnected. He needed to save his team. And if he doesn't get MVP, I mean, I don't know who could. Maybe Chovy.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
So
that guy gets the MVP for sure. Wow. You talked about Street Fighter. Feels like we were really getting down and dirty in this one, as it was really back and forth. You're having a little stretch after that game. I mean, that was a tense one, man.
Yeah.
That was a bit crazy to start off the night.
It was. That was a very chaotic, action-packed game number one. And these are the type of losses I fear for Kingzone, because they're so mentally frustrating to look at that game. And this is also how they've lost a lot of series in the split.
Yeah.
It has to be really good for SKT because they're able to look at that game and know that a lot went wrong for them in the laning phase for Khan, in the mid game for FLICKR. And then these aren't things that they're going to look at and be like, oh, this is a common thing. No, they normally don't have these type of blunders and problems coming out of laning phase or in mid game transitions.
Yeah.
Whereas Kingzone, they had everything going for them. They got into good positions and they just couldn't close.
That Baron's going to come back to haunt them
Yeah.
in their nightmares tonight, and perhaps for a long time if they can't end up winning this series. And to lose like that, to not get that smite down when it was at 600 health, that's what you don't want to happen.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling.
When your team is the scaling comp and it's late game, you know, like that was not supposed to happen that way, and Kingzone have to be kicking themselves for it.
One of the things is the Corki and the Sivir, they really do come online at 3 and 4 items, but the problem that their team comp, I talked about it in Champ Select, is it gets to a point where Akali and Vi are nullified. They end up being glorified meat shields for the Corki and the Sivir, and then it's basically like Akali wishes that she could, you know, put on some weight and become a Scion.
Yeah.
At that point in the game, and you can just see Akali, despite how well and fed she was early on, couldn't do anything. It was really the Corki and Sivir show. Khan. He's one of those Jayces I talk about that even when you put him behind, he can still be scary on the champion. There's a few top laners in the LCK that you can really say that about. Everyone else, don't pick Jayce.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
Khan able to do so much damage here. Teddy, the unsung hero of this damage chart.
Damage doesn't really reflect it, but towards the end, I mean, that guy was carrying it, shoulders pretty tired after that one, as a very action-packed game number 1 was really fun to cast, very back and forth. Kingzone nearly was able to challenge them there towards the end, but we'll have to wait and see how this series does develop when we do come back from a short commercial break.